You okay with that, Donna?
Bob
Okay.
McAdams loves to be on recordings.
Okay. All right. Okay. Um, Today is April 15th, and here in the land of the USA, we always think, well, April 15th, that's the time to get our taxes in and make sure got to pay our taxes. Because, here, there's two things we got to do: pay taxes and make sure we're a Christian. Uh, so we'll do those things. Well, anyway, I gotta click on that. Okay, so uh, but I'm gonna share my screen here, and I want to bring forth a. Oh, I gotta go back on that. Okay, remember we was working through this, Bob. Okay, and what I want to do is uh, talk about uh, God's promise, or a promise that He gave us. Can everybody see that?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Is the pictures on the side over there?
Everybody has control of that
Yeah.
individually.
So you can go over there and click and you see which one you like. And I'm just going to click mine off, or the small one there. That's what I'm going to do. And okay, I think we're okay. Okay, this is going to be one of, not the one, but one of God's pretty well-known promises that He gave us early on. And what it's about is He sent a sign out of heaven. Uh, and it came after the ark had landed. And you can see Noah standing there talking to the dove right there. You can see the rhinoceros and giraffes and the lions and the bears and the monkeys and the cows. And looky there, it's got a Texas steer down there on the left-hand side, just for Michael. And so I'm sure Noah parked the ark a little bit better than that one, but that's okay. But that was about the time that the uh, rainbow came along. So we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight, because there's some really special things that went on with that rainbow. And so what we're going to do is start here in Genesis 7, verse 17. It says the flood was 40 days on earth. The water, this is already into all the other stuff that had already happened before. So you can go back before that and see where it ended up to there. So the waters increased and lifted up the ark, and it was lifted up above the earth. The waters rose and greatly increased upon the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the waters. The waters rose very, very high upon the earth, and all the high mountains that were under all the heavens were covered. The waters rose 15 cubits upward, and the mountains were covered. All flesh that moved on the earth took its last breath, the birds, livestock, animals, every swarming thing that swarms on the earth, and all humankind, all in whose nostrils was the breath of the spirit of life of all that was on the dry land died. Every living thing that was on the face of the ground was blotted out, from humankind to livestock to creeping things to birds of the heavens. They were blotted out from the earth. Only Noah remained, and those who were with him in the ark. The waters rose over the earth for 150 days. Then God remembered Noah and all the animals and all the livestock that were with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters subsided. The fountains of the deep and the windows of the heavens were closed, and the rain from the heavens was held back. In other words, it stopped raining after those 40 days and 40 nights. And another thing I might mention also is in the Word of God, there's certain numbers that you'll hear over and over again. One is the number 7, you have the number 8, you have the number 40, and these and others repeat a lot through the whole Bible. Okay, the fountains of the deep and the windows of the heavens were closed, and the rain from the heavens was held back. The waters returned from off the earth, advancing and returning. At the end of 150 days, the waters began to recede, and the ark rested in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, on the mountains of Ararat. The waters receded continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the first day of the month, the tops of the mountains were seen. At the end of 40 days, Noah opened the window of the ark that he had made, and he sent out, it wasn't a dove, it was a raven, and it went back and forth until the waters had dried up from the earth. Then he sent out the dove from him to see if the waters had decreased from the surface of the ground. But the dove found no place to rest her foot, and she returned to him into the ark, for the waters were still on the surface of the whole earth. He put out his hand and took her and brought her to him into the ark. So he waited another 7 days. Another number you hear a lot is 7 and 70 also, and sent the dove out of the ark again. The dove came back to him at evening, and behold, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off. So Noah knew that the waters had decreased on the earth. Then he waited another 7 days and sent out the dove, and she did not return to him any more. And in the 601st year, the first month, the first day of the month, the waters began to dry up from the earth. Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked. He saw that the surface of the ground had begun to dry up. In the 2nd month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth was completely dry. And God spoke to Noah, saying, "Go out of the ark, you and your wife, and your sons, and your sons' wives with you. Bring out with you every living thing that is with you of all flesh, including birds, livestock, every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, that they may increase abundantly on the earth and be fruitful and multiply on the earth." Now, we heard this be fruitful and multiply on the earth back in chapter 1 of Genesis. He's talking to Adam and Eve. And now, with only Noah and his family and the animals, he's again saying, "Go forth and be fruitful and multiply on the earth," because he has to start over. And so Noah went out with his sons, his wife, and his sons' wives with him. Every animal, every creeping thing, and every bird, whatever moves on the earth according to their families, went out of the ark. Noah built an altar to Yahweh, which is another word for God, and took of every clean animal and every clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. Yahweh smelled the pleasant aroma, and Yahweh said in his heart, I will, and here's a promise, I will never again curse the ground because of humankind, because the imagination of people's hearts is evil from their youth, nor will I ever again strike down every living thing as I have done. So while the earth remains, seed time and harvest, the cold and the heat, and summer and winter, and day and night will not cease. But God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, here it is again, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. The fear of you and the dread of you will come upon every animal of the earth and every bird of the heaven, everything which moves on the ground, and all the flesh of the sea are given unto your hand. Every moving thing that lives will be food for you, as with the green plants, which he gave Adam and Eve in the beginning. Is I have now given everything to you. So you see up there in verse 2 where it says, the fear of you and the dread of you, because now they're going to hunt animals of the earth for food, which they didn't do before. And likewise, the flesh will be eaten by other animals. So he was talking to them too. It says, but flesh with its life, its blood, you are not to eat. So you're supposed to drain the blood out of the animals before you eat them. Surely I will require a reckoning for your lifeblood. From the hand of every animal, I will require it. And from the hand of every man, from the hand of a brother human, I will require a reckoning for the life of a human. So what he's saying there is if an animal goes out and kills a human, if a man or a woman goes out and kills a human, then God is going to require a reckoning of the life of a human or of that animal. Whoever sheds the blood of man, by man his blood is to be shed, for God made man in his own image. And also, if you remember back in chapter 1 of Genesis, says, let us make man in our own image. So that's what they did, and that's where it's repeated here. So if you kill somebody, then your life is to be taken. In other words, this is where God put forth to man corporal punishment that we were in charge of doing. Said, be fruitful and multiply. Here we go again. Increase abundantly on the earth and multiply on it. God spoke to Noah and to his sons with him, saying, and I, behold, I now establish my covenant with you and your seed after you, and with every living soul that is with you, the birds, the livestock, and every animal of the earth with you, of all that go out of the ark, every animal of the earth. I will establish my covenant with you. All flesh will not be cut off again by the waters of a flood, nor will there again be a flood to destroy earth. And God said, this is the sign of the covenant that I make between you, or me and you, and every living soul that is with you for all generations to come. I set my bow, or my rainbow, in the cloud, and it will be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. And when the cloud of when I cloud the earth with clouds, and the bow is seen in the clouds, I will remember my covenant that is between me and you and every living soul of all flesh, and the waters will never again come to become a flood to destroy the flesh. Now, if you notice up there, he's saying that he's making this promise to all the flesh. That's not just mankind, that's animal kind, and to every generation thereafter. Now, I don't know if you've been out in the wild and woolies after a nice rain and everything, and the deer come out, and maybe the cows come out, and you see this rainbow in the heavens. And there was a time that I looked up, and here's these wild animals looking up and seeing this rainbow, and then they go back to eating with their little fawn out there and whatnot. And so it's like it's an internal thing. They know this because it's been passed down, that this is a sign that everything's going to be okay, even for them. So they have that intuitively within them. It says, when the bow is in the cloud, I will look at it, remembering the everlasting covenant between God and every living soul, excuse me, of all flesh that is on the earth. Then God said to Noah, this is a sign of the covenant that I have established between me and all flesh that is on the earth. So you might get lucky enough to see a double, or maybe even a triple or quadruple rainbow. And that's a reminder to you that he still remembers, and hopes that you will too, that you're never again going to be rained out. You're never again, the earth is never again going to be flooded over and killed off everything. It's just not going to happen because he said so. So I'm going to end this right now and stop sharing. So there we are. One of the first promises that God has made to us in living color. And speaking of the color, all the colors of the rainbow. If you want to get like a prism and put a little light through there, you can make your own little rainbow. Or if you're out watering the grass and just look through the spray against the grass, and a lot of times you'll see a rainbow. And it can also be a reminder of God that you know that if you make the rainbow, well, use his stuff to make it, but that you recall too. So any questions, comments, or anything else?
Nicely done. Thank you. I mean,
You're so welcome.
absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It brought a million things to my mind.
I thought it
As,
might.
right? I mean, a million things.
Yeah.
I think that maybe in the next couple of weeks, maybe we'll do some series on the difference between a covenant and a
And a
promise.
promise. Yes.
Yeah, I think that maybe we'll go to the Word and do some series out of that, because they're both very, 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 very. I mean, they're all over the Bible. I mean, God's
Yes.
promises, and a lot of people think of covenant relationships. They think of the Abrahamic covenant or the covenant of the law, and they don't realize that there are many covenants in the Word. I mean, God, as Ron just pointed out, God made a covenant with Noah and all living creatures on the earth concerning how he would handle affairs in the future, uh, concerning the flood. And you had a covenant relationship with Adam. You had an Adamic come of a pre uh, a pre fall or pre sin. I like to use the word fall, but a pre sin covenant and a post sin covenant. Uh, you had the Davidic covenant where God made a covenant with David about the coming Messiah that would sit on his throne. So there's a lot of different agreements that God worked with men on to where he needed them to do something. In Noah's case here, we see judgment is a big deal as far as how they were going to handle their worldly affairs, because one of the reasons why Noah, why the population got wiped out is because crap got bad. I mean, people were, I think the word says they were sinning continuously. In other words, they were
Chapter
just,
6.
it doesn't say continually, but continuously evil on top of evil on top of evil. So God had to do something to preserve the situation. But when he makes a covenant, he really needs something from the people he's making a covenant with. In other words, I'm going to do, God says, it's an agreement, it's a contract, right? We go in agreement, it's a contract. You're going to do this, and I'm going to do this.
That's right.
When you no longer do your part, then I'm not obligated to do my part. And we know God always does his part. But when a person makes a promise, there's only one. The only person that's on the line with the promise is the promiser.
That's right.
And the only thing that the promisee has to gain is whatever the promise is. So when God makes a promise to us, he's on the line. He's basically saying, I don't care what you do, I'm doing this. And we do it all the time too, right? I mean, I make promises to people, and it doesn't. A lot of people say, "Well, I didn't have to keep my promise because you made me mad or whatever." Well, that's goes against the whole idea of promise, because a promise is done because you are claiming that you're going to do something no matter what. That's why you should really be careful with your promises. Covenants is contracts between two people. Two people come into an agreement that they're going to work together to accomplish a goal.
And I think they shake hands.
Yeah, they shake hands, right? Yeah. And then if somebody doesn't agree with it, if somebody doesn't live up to their end of the contract, then they shake their neck. But no, I think there's a lot of good stuff in there about that, and it can help us a lot, especially concerning the fact that we are not children of covenant. We're not a contract. We're not a contract agreement where if this happens, God will fulfill it. We're actually spoken of as children of promise.
Yes.
So there's certain things that there's things about us that God guarantees no matter what happens. And the biggest thing of that is life in the age to come.
One of the things that I was going to say is in this teaching, the difference between the promise and the covenant. I'll give one example of each, so hopefully it'll be clear, and hopefully I got it clear. Is the promise was that God's never going to do that to the earth again, and
no matter what.
But no matter what, he's just not going to do it. He might do other things, but he ain't going to do that. And he put a rainbow up there as a reminder for us through all generations of both man and animal. And that's one of the things that blew me is animal part, and so it's inherently, and then the covenant part is okay. He's not going to deal with the law stuff. It's up to man to do the law and take
Perfect.
care of the sinning man that takes the likeness of God and kills it.
Perfect. I think that's, and you can see most of the time a covenant follows a promise, like in the Abrahamic covenant, which was sealed by circumcision concerning his offspring. The promise was the Messiah. When you read it very carefully, you'll see that God said, I'm going to bring a son.
Yep.
And he's going to be like the stars of the sky and all these wondrous things that this son would become. But then, in order for Abraham to be involved in it, he had to make a covenant with Abraham because he needed Abraham to have a child. And so that covenantal relationship came out of the promise, just like what you pointed out about the rainbow. I'm not going to do this, but, and then after that, he makes a covenant. Okay, this is the way we're going to work things out now, guys. If you kill somebody, your life's going to be required. You're going to,
and it's up to man to do it.
yes, man is the,
And
man,
then where you're not supposed to, where like in the 10 Commandments, it says, thou shalt not kill, means thou shalt not murder.
right.
Because if you say thou shalt not kill, then you can't go out and take care of that God said it was up to man to do.
And it's really obvious in the context too, because we know they had to kill the animals to eat.
Yes, that's right.
So it would have been contradiction.
And there were certain animals they could not kill.
Yeah.
Yes. Up until Peter.
Birds and certain animals I couldn't kill.
Right. Pretty cool.
That shows in the way God explained all that, he was still working at our level of thinking.
He was dealing with the situation too. I mean, the situation came up, and everybody says God doesn't change, and that is certainly true of his character. It's certainly true of his character. He's a good God. He's a righteous God. He's a loving God. But he does change due to circumstances, direction. He changes direction because, just like what Bob just pointed out about, I mean, he had to change direction. He had to do something different. And Ron pointed out in his teaching, now you got to eat meat. I mean, that wasn't required before. Now there'll be a dread of the animals. As far as we can tell from Genesis, there was a harmony between man and the animals.
Yes.
Right.
And now it no longer is. And so if you ever have a wild animal come to you, it's because they want to share the interspecies connection, because normally they're your food.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And they say, okay, don't eat me. We'll be friends, okay?
Yeah.
Or something on
I
that
tease
order.
my children all the time. We have a dog and a cat. I tell them the only reason I feed them so well is if I was starving, I have something to eat.
That's right. Yes, absolutely. So we won't say how many dogs and cats that Donna has, because I know she's got meat there to last a long time. I think, what has he got? 4 dogs and 1 cat, right?
She's muted.
Yeah, you're muted, Donna.
Yeah, I've got.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to share this now. I just pulled this up because I'm going to work on it this week. But
Oh, okay.
I've got I got a lot of work done on the Greek and the Hebrew concerning promises and covenants and different things. Some of it I stole from Bob Wassong.
Of course.
Some of his teachings. I love being the Wassong thief. Because he does really cool PowerPoints. But,
Yeah, he does. He
but most of it's mine originally and stuff. And So anyways, maybe we'll start tearing in this. This is an 84 slide, so this is by no means a one-seater. We can break it up and maybe start talking about that over the next couple of weeks if you guys want to. I mean, it's our fellowship.
Yeah.
And it's likewise with you. What if we don't meet each other's needs, then it's no sense in having fellowship. So if there's something that you want to be taught on, that you want to investigate in the Word, or if there's something you want to teach on from the Word that you know, this is our fellowship. It's ours. We just like God said, hey, you guys are going to have to govern yourself to know it in the gang. Well, we're very much in our ministry. We've been given a ministry of reconciling men and women back to God. So if there's something that you want to share with the group, I mean, this is as open as it can be. I mean, all I'm doing is hosting it. I mean, because I want it to exist. So, I mean, but it's an open, I don't even have to be here for it. I got it set up to where any of y'all can come on, and if something happens to me, which last week I had to go in for surgery, so I wasn't here Monday, and Ron picked up the ball, and he was here making sure that there was a fellowship available. So,
and it was with Bob. We had a good time.
cool.
Yeah.
Me, Ron, God, and Jesus.
Hey man,
That's
that's a
right.
foursome. What a
That's
foursome.
right. And we
But-
didn't even have golf clubs, but boy, did we knock a few balls around.
It doesn't have to be as elaborate as Ron did today. You don't have to have PowerPoints. I mean, you just got to have a Bible. I mean, you got to know what's written in it and share your heart. So anybody that wants to share, it's always available. But I think if all y'all are in agreement, that maybe we'll do this covenant thing for a couple weeks until we want to do something else. I mean,
Yeah. And so, yeah.
somebody's come up with something. If you bring a friend and you want something to be taught, I mean, we're very versatile. And even though, like I said earlier, we don't have all the answers, we know a lot of people. And
Yeah.
and between some of the people we know, we can find a lot of answers. And
Yeah.
and even when we can't find them in the groups that we currently have, that's what it's all about, because we can figure it out. We're not everybody here has the ability to reason. And a good lexicon and a little bit of reasoning will get you a long way in the Word. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. You can find out a lot of stuff in a lexicon.
It's my favorite leprechaun.
Yes, your favorite leprechaun. Yeah.
A leprechaun.
Yeah, because when you're trying to take from one language and go to the other, it's really difficult sometimes to say, well, this one word means this one thing.
Right.
And that's not true, because different languages, they might have that as one of the things that would fit in, but when there's lots of things that can fit in, it's like, okay, what is the culture all about? Yeah.
Sure.
And so
What's the content?
What's the
of what's
content?
being
yeah,
said.
yes, and the context, and then everything. So there's
Simple
so many
word like
things.
mystery. I mean, that's one of the best ones
Yeah.
I know.
Oh yeah,
Mystery. The word mystery in the translations is what's called a transliteration,
yeah,
where they took the Greek word mysterion and they just turned it into the English word mystery. But the Greek word mysterion does not mean the same thing as the English word mystery.
no,
It's the more accurate term would be it's a secret.
Yeah.
The mystery of God is the secret of God, the secret God has.
and
But
that's not a mystery.
It's not a mystery. It's just
Because a
something.
mystery is something that nobody knows, and a secret
Mhm.
is that somebody knows and can tell somebody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Mystery theater. We're going to find out at the end of the movie who killed the
Mystery 2000.
butler.
3,000. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man, jeez. Take
Well,
us back, would you, Bob? Make us feel old, okay?
Yeah, right. Pleasure meeting you, Donna. I'm glad you came tonight. This is cool.
You can unmute yourself and we can hear you then. There you go.
Well, I lost audio for a little while, and
Yeah.
I finally got it back.
It
Yeah.
looks like your signal's going in and out.
Yeah, you seem
It
to have
is.
Yeah.
Every couple minutes, it's going in and out.
It comes
Yeah.
up on your screen, reconnecting the audio.
Yeah.
But it is going to be, the recording will be on my YouTube. I
Okay.
will share what I'll do, and Ron, you can help me with this as far as
Sure.
communication. I'll send, of course, I have Ron and Bob's, and Bob, all you gotta do is go to YouTube and look up Mike Lewis at Gmail. But I'll send a link to it, and that way, anything you missed, Donna, you can just pull it up and listen to it again.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
That's what we'll like to do is to be able to get it out, and then whatever you missed in here because your audio went out or something, I would suggest